let's start looking at the application hierarchy once, and then we'll proceed with the case design. Yes, here I'm on the Dev Studio. Let's look at the application definition of the HR services which we have created. So what would you see is HR services is built upon the UI kit. Yes, so here I see HR services is built upon the UI kit. This in turn is built upon the Pega rules. So even though we chose the type as classic, I mean we did not. Classic says there are no predefined entities, nothing. It's just like a clean sheet of paper. But yet we will be able to access, or we will be able to utilize all the features provided by the Pega rules base application. Okay? So even though it's still an application from scratch, yet I would be able to reuse all the features provided by the Pega platform because of the Pega rules as the built-on application. So generally, when you are dealing with exposing your application as a service, right? Like for example, you have built your Pega application, but you would like to expose that as a service application. Okay, so we will be dealing with a lot of rules for it, right? It's not just like any other rules. So we have few rules specific to those, right? Like you need to create a service. It could be a REST service or a SOAP, then the rules corresponding to it, your business logic, where it lies. So all of these things. Similarly, on the other hand, you also need a whenever there is a service, you would obviously need another application for connecting it to it for the requesting purpose, right? Like it's a two-way thing. When you have a service application, you would also have a requester application as well, right? So
Yes.
talking other perspective, in the other application, you should be building your connectors, right? In order to send the request parameters or in order to receive the response parameters and all. So you might need to build your connectors, right? Be it again SOAP, REST or whatever. Right? So these rules, your service requests or your connectors, so these rules will be part of your integration rule sets. The ones that are related to integrating your application with other external sources. So those will lie on the integration rule sets. Okay, so let us go ahead and we'll add in some case types. So the business transactions related to HR. So what all do we have when it comes to the HR department? What business transactions can we handle? The recruitment. Okay, so and instead of this, I'm going to use something called as work dash cover dash here. Okay, so I'll tell you why I used this. Let me submit. First, we'll see how the case designing can be done. And for every business transaction, we would have a case life cycle, right? Which means a starting point and a clear ending point for it. My transaction cannot go on and on and on. It shouldn't be cyclic. Rather, it should have a clear starting point and a clear end point. So let us define the stages, steps, and processes corresponding to the recruitment. Right, yes, my recruitment case type is available. Now, Pega gives us the default create stage. It gives us one stage to just show how the template is going to be. This is my create stage with the create process and the create collection step. So we can start off from right here in order to define your life cycle, but I'll let the create stage be. So I'll start creating my own stages here. Okay, maybe I'll just name it submission, where we would collect the candidate details. Something like collect the personal information of the candidate. And maybe the educational info and the experience info. Okay, right. And I would like to name my process as a best practice. So I would like to name it as a action. I mean, it's like a verb. It shouldn't be a noun. So I would like to just name it collect personal or collect candidate details. Okay. Maybe the second stage is going to be your interview, where I would like to collect some information regarding the written test of the candidate. And then my actual technical discussion is going to start. Right? So that's where I would decide whether the candidate can be selected or not. So instead of collect information, I'll go for an approve and reject. So whenever I use approve reject, I've got an alternate stage coming up here to decide what happens if it is rejected. So this is a candidate selected, and then for interview again, I would like to name it conduct. And once the candidate is selected, what are we looking at is release of. So in order to send an offer letter, yes, obviously I would be using a send email automation step here to send across the email regarding the offer letter. And then maybe I would like to collect a feedback from the candidate as in how the overall interview experience is. Right. Assuming this is my happy path flow. Similarly, we would like to design our negative scenario as well. So what happens if a candidate is rejected? Again, even though if it's rejected, I would still send him an email saying probably you can come back after like 3 months or something. You can apply again. Then maybe I would like to collect some feedback. Okay, right. So this transaction here is ending with sending the offer letter and collecting the feedback. Right? But whether the candidate has joined or not, is he onboarded? What about his IT infra requirements? Is he provided with the laptop? Is his documents verified? So we're not talking about those things because my recruitment case, my recruitment transaction ends with sending the email alone. Right? Onboarding could be another transaction for me. Right? Again, that depends upon the complexity and that depends upon how you're going to handle the transaction. Right? So if onboarding is just a simple task, I think we can just add in one more stage here, just add those document steps and all. But onboarding is an entirely different transaction. Right? So that depends upon how we are articulating the case life cycles. Right? Okay. Let me just save it. Right. So now we have designed a business transaction or your so-called case lifecycle. Good.